have a good friend. Hi, this is Kelly Davis, your host of the Untold Miracles podcast. And today I am so excited. I have a great friend visiting the National Office of Children's Miracle Network Hospitals. He is the founder of pain2joy.com, an online community to help people navigate their pain to joy process. He is the co-founder of the Purpose Talent Agency, and he is the author of the upcoming book, Pain to Joy. Mr. Joshua Johnson, welcome to the podcast.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much.
I really appreciate you taking the time to be here. I'm so excited to talk about this subject and for listeners to get to know you better, because every one of us has our own pain to joy story. And I know that you have a lot of empathy around this for people who are trying to process this. And I want to know how you got started on this journey to founding this amazing community, this AA for Pain. What was the inspiration behind this?
So many people of us are hurting deep inside, and I think there's that community that's needed, the camaraderie, the support system for helping people that are going through anxiety, depression, fears, and to offset that with positive mindsets that would be peace or joy or faith, and understanding what that is. And I think that we, heart, soul, mind, and body, we understand things in different ways. So when we try to meet a need, we have to meet it, if we're emotionally going through something that we're anxiety prone, giving someone food is not going to meet that need. So we're not going to meet an emotional need with the physical answer. So you just have to see and meet the people where they're at. And so that's something that I think is needed to build a community around it. We're going to do that firstly in Hollywood and helping people that may have thought that they were going to make it sooner than they did, and they still have grit and perseverance, and they've gone pain to joy, and yes, have made it the first year and won this talent show or got this TV show, but they're 10 years later and they're like, what's happening? And so this pain to joy process is constantly. So the pain, suffering, perseverance, character, hope, and that hope into the 9 mindsets that we help people with. That one of those mindsets may be peace if you're going through anxiety, or joy if you're going through depression, or faith if you're going through fear. So we help those, and this is the next phase, basically the book, dissecting and helping people with their pain to process it to positive. And we're dissecting one vertical first, that's within the entertainment industry. So basically the talent agency will have a special arm of outreach to Hollywood and helping those people that may have been going through something that they didn't think that they would have to go through, and it maybe take them by surprise. And so for them to have to deal with it, it may have blindsided them. And so they don't know how to live with it. And so there needs to be a support system to help them go through that. And so many actors and musicians, that are successful, they've seen that I didn't just get here by snapping my fingers. So they saw that they had this journey, that they went through this hardship, this perseverance, and this suffering. And so they see that there's other fellow actors, musicians, that also could use their encouraging words. And so if we tied those all together and had this support system for Hollywood, for the actors, for the musicians, I think that would be very beneficial. In the same way AA does. That is a support system coming together around Hollywood.
I love it. I've been working with celebrities for many years at Children's Miracle Network hospitals, and I've watched some of my friends that I've met along the way go through some really big challenges, because when you move to Hollywood, everyone is more beautiful, more talented, more successful, and you literally land in this crazy land, and you really don't have a life jacket or a life preserver. And I love that you're creating that for people that just haven't had that in the past, because it exists, and it's thousands of people. It's very few people that actually make it to be A-listers in Hollywood, but just helping people, achieve their dreams and know that, this resource is available to them is amazing. And the cool thing about it is this can also not just help people in Hollywood,
Mhm.
but this can help anyone go from pain to joy.
Mhm.
And so I love that you are creating that. I'm super excited for the book because we all
Good.
have a pain to joy story. I know that I have mine, but I would like to talk about yours. Growing up, you grew up in Austin, Texas,
Yes.
and with a very large family. And I know there were things that happened in your childhood that shaped you into the person that you are, to have the empathy that you have to help people who are going through pain because you've had your own pain. Please explain to our listeners where this started for you.
I guess for me, it started with my father just having back surgery, major chronic pain, multiple areas in his back, and just the pain of what he went through. I never felt I processed pain fully. I never felt fazed by pain. And so recently with my brother with a rare autoimmune disease, I think that I feel numb to pain sometimes. And so for me, it's just processing that now fully. It's not that I didn't build my character through the pain. So I feel like I have in that suffering, perseverance, character, hope. I don't feel like I fully have been an example to others through that, because I've nonchalantly sloughed it off as if it's nothing. And so I think through that processing, people out there that have gone through the pain and then they process it to joy and show that as examples to others. I think people going through those same things, like celebrities that have gone through something, that have lost a child in childbirth, or whatever pain you could name, if they share that and they choose to pass that on and bring that full circle to positive, and to see the different things that come out of that they can share with others, I think there's a lot of positive that can be extracted from that pain. And so, if you die of cancer, then you build a foundation, then one day find a cure. And so many miracles come from that. So that pain, then point to the miracles that came from that, to then shine a light. And so many get to see the millions of views on the videos that you create through the miracles here. And that is bringing full circle the pain to joy. So many people look at those videos as an extraction, as a reminder for them to kick out of, wow, Matt, I'm late on my mortgage, but this kid is like dying. Like that's man, I really need to put it in perspective. And so they get to go full circle, and they have to take a step back and let me take it. Okay, this is okay. It's gonna be okay.
So you mentioned that growing up, you didn't really process pain. You didn't really feel pain. Do you have a time in your life now that you really have felt deep pain and have been able to get to this other side of joy?
I think before, to be frank, I think I'm most able to release the pain when I don't take it on myself as my burden. So if God takes that burden of pain, then I'm able to feel it less. So I think actually I felt it more in the past few years because I tried to take it on myself. And so that actually, growing up, I felt like, even though I didn't process it fully, I felt like I didn't process it also because God was always there, and not that he isn't there here now, but I didn't really ever question anything. I just, that's the way it goes. And so it felt lighter. The burden felt lighter. And so now it's a reminder actually to release that burden. And so that's coming full circle now, that pain to joy. It's when you have that pain, the sooner you give it up off your back, that burden, the sooner you process it to suffering, perseverance, character, and then the hope. And that hope, even in grieving. So when you grieve, your dog dies, right? So you don't lose the mindset of joy. You're not happy. You're sad, right? So that's what we teach, thought versus feeling in psychology. So more of a thought versus feeling. So understanding that your dog dies, you can be mourning, but you don't mourn without hope. You don't lose that hope mindset. So I think that's the main thing for me, just being reminded, coming full circle, knowing, okay, yes, I have to help people, but like these kids that, help me more than I help them, how do I go full circle and understand how they've been processing? You know, when I go to help kids or families in Guatemala, like Honduras, whatever, how do I come full circle to see their needs? But they always end up giving me more than I could have ever dreamed of giving them. So how do I apply that in this concept to Hollywood, to those kids that need, you know, just a helping hand, just an encouraging word? You know, it all goes back to the validation. You know, they thought there was somebody as Miss Oklahoma, you know, 5 years before, and then now they're basically no one. And so how do you help validate them in a right manner, of a mindset of their why, their purpose, and their motivation? And once they're motivated, they're 125% more productive. So that's coming full circle to help them in a way that they have the correct mindset, so it's sustainable over a lifetime instead of it just a feeling in the moment. And that's something, it's just like you want a salary for helping you pay the mortgage constantly. And that's the mindset, instead of just a day-to-day job, just to try to find a place to live and a food for the moment. So when you're in the mindset that even if you have a breakdown and a job doesn't go correctly and you don't get the part, you're still going to be in the right mindset. In the same way as if you lose your dog, in that moment, it's going to be okay, because you don't lose hope in that mourning process. So that's what we just want to encourage, that community that we're building, just have that hope to continue.
Well, I know in December you're going to be launching an online campaign that's going to help people process pain to joy and give them a specific tool that can help them do that. Would you mind sharing what you're doing?
Well, thank you. And we're going to have some videos coming out soon. Basically it's just a few steps, basically helping people find the reminder. So basically you're within that reminder of whatever you're thankful for, you're able to post it on social media. And I can get the 5 steps here exactly to be more succinct, but I can post that later. But basically every journey needs a guide, and you find your guide through what you're thankful for. So just for me, I just posted a picture of the sun in Wyoming, right? And it was beautiful. You had the sunlight just piercing through the trees. It was picturesque. You had the snow, the mountains, the first snow of the year, and I had the Mexican hot chocolate in my hand. And that was a reminder, because I literally vividly the imagery is in my mind, because I'm very visual, right? So I see that, and that is a reminder for me of the water in a different form, like the snow. So I don't necessarily like the cold, but that's just water in a different form. So water is my reminder of peace, right? And then also the trees are a reminder of peace, the forest. And then the joy of that sunlight is a reminder for me. It's just that's also connected to LA, and why I love LA, because that vitamin D, and that gives me joy. And then that convertible in the picture reminded me of memories in LA, driving a similar car, and then having that in the Mexican hot chocolate, that just those vivid memories of just the little things growing up, that reminded me of the holidays and the inspirational joy around the holidays. And so those little things are just the reminders for me that help kick out of the pain into the positive. So if I'm going through anxiety, to have a reminder of peace. If I'm going through depression, have a reminder of joy and what that looks like.
So how are you reminding yourself that you posted a photo? What can people do where that can come up daily for them, so they can literally have this as a gift for them every day to help them kick out of some crazy thought process they're in?
Exactly. So you can post a daily reminder on your social media, or you can just post it as your screensaver. So for me, like the kids I coach in soccer is my screensaver on my phone. So that's just a little reminder to kick out whenever I subconsciously want to be negative, I want to complain, whatever I want to do to be have anxiety, depression, that's the positive that kicks out subconsciously. And so December 11th, we're going to have people and basically the community within the talent agency and talent in general, actors, musicians, post their reminder as their profile picture, their avatar, and then have a 5-minute presence during the day, just 5 minutes. So they go off social media for 5 minutes, and then that is posted on their timeline. And so everyone knows when they post their avatar for that day on their timeline, that's their reminder, and that's their 5 minutes of presence. So that encourages everyone. So if an artist, actor, musician posts it, then their fans know, okay, that they have a blurb, like 2 sentences about their pain to joy, and then how people can encourage them. So that may encourage that I'm going through this. I don't feel like I have a voice. I don't have influence. You guys don't hear me. You don't listen to me on stage. I feel like I'm just a robot. I'm nothing. And a lot of people can relate to that. Maybe kids can relate to that. Their parents not listening to them. But also there may be something else that they're not going through, but they're like, I have this pain. I don't really relate to that pain, but I'm going through this, and I'm here. Well, let's go through the pain together. And so that is something that I think a support system to go through that. And it's almost a validation to say, you know what, you're not perfect. It's almost like a third party consumer reports validating that it's okay to have pain. It's okay to go through this. It's okay to be not perfect. Imperfection is okay. And that vulnerability is beautiful. And that's where love abounds, and creativity and the joy that we need in Hollywood and talent. That's where it abounds. And so when you stifle it and you control it, I think that the more we're allowing just people to open up, and then the more it becomes standard, similar to AA, then it's like AA was originally hard to talk about, but now it's just standard. And it's just like, okay, it's in an article in the New York Times, like, right? So it's like they almost accept you, media almost accepts you better if you're like, oh, he's going through AA, okay, cool, like, right. You have an excuse. Before, it's like, what's his excuse? Right. So if you have this like label, quote unquote, then it's something to help validate, like, I'm going through something. So, and I'm not for labels, per se, but this is not really labeling. It's just a community supporting you. And there's a justification in the support that you can't be ridiculed for the support. And I think that's a positive thing.
So if people were to go to pain2joy.com, and it's pain and then the number 2 joy.com, what assets would they find there to help them?
Just encouraging words, and just basic structure of our curriculum. We're going to be releasing the curriculum after the book. So this is just stupid, simple nudges to help you kick out of pain to positive, right? It's just very simple. And then to not overwhelm anyone, to go in, and then they can share their pain to joy testimony as well, where there's a few questions on the second page. So if you want to go in and share your pain to joy testimony, I would love, as we launch the podcast as well, and you were a gracious guest on the podcast. As we launch that podcast, we'll also be encouraging artists that come on to have their fan base, encourage their fan base to come on and support them through sharing their pain to joy testimony, their past, present, and future journey.
Right.
So understanding that journey encourages others. I had a child at 19 and the whole community kicked me out, and I had to move from XYZ to come here. And then 40 years later, I had this amazing story of grit. And then that's my reminder. That is my daughter is my reminder of everything in life for me that kicks out of pain into positive. And so that anytime I'm going through my 5th company now and I need that grit to survive, and I may be going through a bankruptcy, she is the reminder subconsciously to help kick out of that, right. Knowing where I came from. And so even if you're in the Super Bowl, knowing that you have to go back to the X's and O's. So don't forget those. And those little things, the appreciation of the small things, is understanding the more you appreciate the small things, basically the more tapped in you are to your true north, to your purpose. And so knowing that and knowing yourself, because Heart Intellect is our software that ties everything together. So basically you know yourself, you know you're high, others know you're high, and you know others high. So you know your purpose. And so by you understanding yourself, it helps your wife know you better, because your wife's never going to know you until you know yourself, right? And that goes for anyone. So the sooner you learn who you are and find your purpose, your why, and your motivation, the sooner the whole world will get to know you. And that's basically what we're helping people find in that, and then that community then helps sharpen each other.
Right. Well, you know what I'm really excited about, Joshua, is, you know, if you look in Hollywood, there's a lot of A-listers that have come out with their Pain to Joy story.
Mhm.
And honestly, a lot of them come from humble beginnings. They were like a bus driver or a waiter, or they washed dishes, and then they went through all this pain. And recently we were listening to a song together. It was by Hillary Scott. It's a song called Still, and she wrote that from her experience with miscarriage. And I think it's really cool that you're creating a community where you can bring everybody together, even though they've shared their story.
Mhm.
Like, everybody can come together as one. And I think there's a lot of A-listers that haven't shared their story
Right.
yet. So you're giving them a place, a safe place, to share that. And I think that's honestly when people are brave enough to tap in to that and be willing to be vulnerable and to be seen and to be authentic, they have such a power to help people. And I just think this online community where everybody feels safe is going to be amazing, because I think it'll actually really encourage those that haven't been willing or able or okay or felt safe doing that. They're going to be able to do that. And so I love that that's going to be a part of it.
And what I'm so excited, thank you, I'm so excited for the miracles coming out of it, because truly by tapping into that vulnerability, so many chains are going to break free.
Mm-hmm.
And the shadows and the closets that have swept literally like so many different things just shut and closed, and they don't know that part of themselves. And because they've just swept everything under the rug and then put the rug in the closet,
Mm-hmm.
and literally 5 doors later, they're like, who am I? And that is something that I think tapping into that is going to open up a whole new world of fans for them as well. It could add a lot of value in being vulnerable, because when you open up, and there are, yes, there's bad things that could happen from it, but the pros definitely outweigh the cons, and the vulnerability of knowing long-term sustainability and growth with the mindset of knowing you're breaking free of the chains that have held you down for so long. And other kids that are going through similar things, for them to hear that their idol went through something similar, that is so powerful.
Yeah, you know, the other night we were at a concert together, and it was Imagine Dragons, and the lead singer, Dan Reynolds, got up on stage and he shared his Pain to Joy story. And when he was younger, he had severe depression and anxiety and was suicidal, and he opened up about receiving therapy and how that's the best decision that he's ever made in his life. And he would never be an artist today without that pain. But because he was willing to be vulnerable and talk to 20,000 people about that, think of the number of people in that audience that maybe weren't even willing to tell their friend what they were going through. But because of him and the power and the platform that he has, he helped so many people. And you don't know how many people that's going to affect generations after generation. It's crazy. And so that's really what you're doing, is creating miracles. And speaking of miracles, Children's Miracle Network Hospitals creates miracles to treat 10 million kids at 170 children's hospitals across the country. And that's all I witness is miracle after miracle after miracle. And Joshua, I know you've had miracles in your life. I would love for you to share maybe one of your biggest miracles.
Okay. And I want to give, just looking behind us now, Bella.
Cute Belle, who had a kidney transplant from her dad, and her mom tested to see if she was going to be a donor and found out that she had cancer. She had breast cancer. But so by Belle being sick, she saved her mom's life.
Wow.
So really incredible miracle story. And Belle is doing amazing today. And so I know what you're saying.
Another Pain to Joy story.
Yes.
Her mom
Yep.
surviving, and that joy coming from surviving, both of them. Incredible. But yeah, my miracle, I think for me, coming full circle, my miracle, there was a car crash that I had 10 years ago. And something for me to actually write this book and to bring this full circle, these kids. That's why I want to actually donate all the proceeds from the book to the kids and to the hospital. And that, before I forgot, it was just encouraging to be here, to see so many kids in their faces and to see the light in the room because of the smile on the child, even in a picture form. It becomes 3D. And so that's what I want to bring to the kids in Hollywood, and to bridge the gap of those hospitals and those kids and the grit that they have, and helping them and see how they can help others, and then others can help them. And so I think that that's something that I want to look toward, to see how we can connect those dots. And to come back to my accident, I remember it was Colorado, not too far from here. Steamboat Springs, not too far from Steamboat Springs, about 45 minutes outside, just west. I was driving from Los Angeles, and I was it was 10 years ago, with my ex-girlfriend. She was in the driver's seat. She'd fallen asleep. We had just eaten dinner 4 hours before, and driving, I think, just along the border. Just got into Colorado, ate dinner, and then I believe, I don't know, but my friend David Gardner, he's a great guy, moved to San Francisco, and I still want a good dear friend. He was there. I was going to snowboard with him, and he said he was on the phone with me, and I don't remember if it was the icy conditions, because it was really bad. It was it was extremely bad conditions. It was snowing, ice, and everything. So I don't know if it was me not paying attention, or if it was on the phone, or if I dozed off, or what. But I do remember it was a bad snowstorm. And so the bus came, and it actually turned over, and I swerved and missed it to the left. So I went 25 feet down into a ravine to the left. And so I crossed oncoming traffic. The bus swerved, and no one got hurt in there. I mean, minor injuries. Thankfully, the lawsuits, everything was fine. So I literally went down to the ravine, and half the car was completely on its side. So it was my side that got the brunt of everything. And the pictures, hardly looks like a car. So they had to cut me out, jaws of life. My ex was fine. She didn't have a scratch on her. She was asleep. So it was good. But on my left side, literally my whole left side of the body was tore up, but not a broken bone. And thankfully they got me out, jaws of life. I woke up the next day in the hospital, had a coma. But I walked out of the hospital in a few days and recovered in a few days in the cabin in Colorado and back to LA.
Did anything happen to your face or to?
Yeah, I was smashed. The airbag smashed my face in. No plastic surgery because I'm not talented. So I was like, it's okay. So I smashed my nose in. So they had to go in, and it was like a C. It was completely, my nasal cavity, air cavity, everything was very poorly structured basically I was an accordion, my body. But thankfully they said I was in decent shape before. So they said only it was like in the 0.1% that would have actually not broken something. So thankfully I didn't. And thankfully I had played a few sports before that. So I was in a decent shape. So I was thankfully able to be okay. And that was to God's glory. I was able to be okay because they didn't think I was going to actually make it. Whenever I had first got cut out, when they rushed me to the hospital on life support. So thankfully God just did a 180, and it was pain to joy. It was out of there. And so for me to see that, and to not even have a broken bone and recovery, I feel like I didn't even fully try because of my physical therapy. I didn't even really make an effort to do the physical therapy. So that I kind of was lacking and a little bit lazy. But full circle now, coming to China, I did physical therapy there for 7 months, and they helped put my knee back in place, my left knee. And that was, I'm very thankful for that. So I was able to do
everything I needed to. I mean, it was actually the worst of it was trekking down when I was walking down Everest. The trek was the worst. So actually not going up, but going down, because that's the PCL, the lateral movement on my left. That's why you can't really ski now. And a few years ago, when I was trying to do like a 180 in the Alps, I couldn't really kick forward, so I couldn't kick around. So it felt like it tore more. So I tried, and it's hard for me to be limited, I guess, in sports. So now I'm very humbled and put in my place. So now I know that I have to stop. But that's my pain to joy experience in the car crashes.
Well, a lot of people don't have never been through that, have never been that close to death. How did that experience impact you in your daily living, if any way at all?
Well, I have to say that I unfortunately, I don't feel that it changed much.
Mm-hmm.
I think I have something now to look back to see what I didn't process. And how did I not process that? And why did I not process that? Because it didn't faze me, like anything in life. It didn't really faze me. And pain hasn't really fazed me to this point. And why is that? And asking those questions and going deeper within that. And then that resonation for others to learn from that, if I'm asking celebrities to share their pain to joy and they're going through something, and I'm asking other, them to share with other actors that could be encouraged from their pain, why am I not also doing that? So I think for me, it's a process of how do I come away with knowing that I could have benefited by processing that more, tapped into those feelings and tapped into, I guess I did tap into mindset, because I had that resilience and perseverance in the character. It didn't, like grit, I didn't even, there was no option to not get up. There was no option to feel sorry for myself. A few days later, I was back in LA, back in the grind, So there is no even second guessing life for me. And even back then, even I had a stronger mindset then than I feel like I even do now.
Right.
And it's so now it's even going back to learning from what I did then as well. Okay, well, God was, I feel like even a bigger part of my life then. So maybe I need to tap into that more and see, that was the algorithm for my life then. This is the algorithm for my life now. What's a better output? It didn't even faze me. Okay, maybe I didn't tap into the emotions as much, but I really don't tap into my emotions much now. So what's the better output? And so when I see that, I need to then tap into more internally and say, okay, God, all right, yeah, maybe I need to give up on this one. I need to stop trying to control everything.
Right.
So.
When you had the experience with that, did you recognize it and identify it as a miracle when it happened, or was it just like this?
No, I mean, I don't think
and...
that I knew what even hit me.
Right.
So it didn't faze me, but everything I know, I mean, I'm living and breathing right now, and it's a miracle. Mm-hmm. Everything I do in my life, I mean, me being in China and everything I've done in China is a miracle. Like how I'm here right now and able to have a book and donate the proceeds to the children, and then come full circle and having children smile, and then that smile affect me in a different way that I've ever felt before, in a new and fresh manner. I think that's it all comes full circle. So for me, everything in life that I see as something from God is a miracle.
So what about miracles that you've witnessed outside of your own personal life?
Wow.
Whether it be your family, friends.
Right. I mean, my father I've just seen him as a miracle. His back, just major back surgeries. He had surgeons screw up his back, and then, I mean, he didn't sue them. He's such a good Samaritan. But ruined his whole life, really. And a lot of doctors are surprised, in his mental state. Like, they've never seen anyone like that alive, not in a mental institution. But to the outside world, he helps so many people and counsels them and helps them and processes so much, and he's an incredible business consultant and helps so many people and run some incredible businesses and help with family businesses. And so it's just to see him where I try to emulate that stealth mode almost. Everyone on the outside sees him for, oh, like, wow, he has it all together, but no one knows that he's in immense pain at all times. And I think that for me, I look at that, and I guess that was my model my whole life. And to see that, how do I still process this pain and not compare myself to him? So by comparing myself, I don't just say, okay, well, I have no pain compared to that.
Well, you even just did it right now. You looked at Belle on the wall and you're like, wait, I don't have a miracle. I'm comparing my miracle to Belle. And so mine's not as big, whereas everybody's miracle. You can't compare miracles
Right.
with one another.
And so I guess I need to dig deeper on how many miracles I actually have had in my life. And then because I see them in others, I see them in others' lives much clearer. But I guess it's just being grateful. I am grateful. It's just, I guess, not labeling it, because I feel it's every day is a miracle. So for me, just knowing God is there, and it's every day is a miracle. And being here is a miracle. Knowing these kids have the support of this headquarters system, to have 170 hospitals be supported by a support system. So it's incredible. I mean, that's what we're doing in a sense with Hollywood.
Well, Josh, you have traveled the world. You've been to some really amazing places, and you've done some really cool mission trips.
Yeah.
What miracles have you witnessed with some of the trips that you've participated in?
That's a good question. I think for me too, I mean, I've never been Spanish has never been, I've never been in languages, right? So just the mission trips earlier on when I was growing up, it was like a 15-year-old, 13-year-old. I think I had some breakthroughs when I went on some mission trips to Central America, the Bahamas, and just doing some outreach to the locals, and just seeing God at work in the local language, especially in Spanish, in, let's say, Honduras, and the inner city, and being able to communicate with these kids in these sports clinics and helping them. And I did not have a clue. I was just getting by in Spanish class, right? Like, who am I? But God was completely there and speaking through, I guess, clearly me. I didn't know he could speak through me like that. But to see that impact, and to see that as those kids light up, and that's what I love about the impact across languages. You can pick up a soccer ball and not know their tongue. You can pick up a trumpet and not know their tongue, drums, piano, whatever. And the music and sports cross the boundaries of language. And I think that that's beautiful. I mean, as well as, being in China, I'm horrible at languages, but still being able to converse with people, even in my limited tongue in Chinese, being able to still emulate and have empathy for their pain, whatever they're going through at that time, and to actually have them go through that with you and say, I'm here, whatever you're going through, I want to go through it with you. And then still communicate just enough to have a few hundred words or kind of piece them together to actually articulate something that they can feel at a heart level. I think that that's very impactful for me, because languages are by far my worst intelligence, linguistics. So being able to just be used in that limited way is a miracle, I think, for me.
I love it. I really believe in the gift of tongues, and I love how God can speak through you. He spoke through you with a talent that you did not have, and it's really cool that you were able to impact lives and create miracles. It's really amazing. So in all of the places that you've traveled in the world, was there one community in particular where you felt the love and the miracles that were created around you?
I think, personally, I've really enjoyed Colombia. I've really enjoyed Colombia, just the communities there.
I've never been there, so tell me what that's like.
Just the camaraderie of the family. So similar to China, you have the collective culture compared to the individualist here, but they're so loving. It's similar to the Chinese, but less about business. So you have more of the multi-active there rather than the reactive in China, more proactive here. It's a different dynamic when you're there, and it's like Latin dancing, or just there with the kids, there with the individuals that love you for you beyond anything that you could imagine. And the Chinese do that as well, but it's a different dynamic. And so that dynamic of just loving kids, loving the people there, and them truly loving you unconditionally without you doing anything, and that's something that's very special to me, in a different way that I've ever seen. So I really have a fondness for the Colombian people, and just the family system. Similar. I mean, a lot of it's modeled. I'm picking the best of for, the Hollywood Outreach program, but a lot of it I'm going to learn from them as well. So I think that they have many miracles, just being able to just connect to people in need as well. So
I love it. Joshua, we are running out of time, so I have one last question for you. But first, before I ask you, I want to acknowledge you and thank you for taking the time
thank you.
to be on the podcast today. It truly is amazing what you're going to be doing to help so many people. I love your heart. I love your empathy. I love your desire to create miracles in the world, and that's what's going to happen. But the last question. If you could create 3 miracles in the world today, what would that look like for you?
3 miracles in the world today. Wow, that's good. I think that the first miracle would be to reach general intelligence. So basically defining human purpose, and then being able to give that to AI, deep learning, to then augment human purpose into AI, and then to reach general intelligence, and then them to be able to help us. And that the miracle of that is to be able to create human behavior, cognitive behavior in humans that supports with empathy, that empathetic reasoning for humanity. I think that's needed as we become more and more selfish and prideful. I think that as more and more of humanity is split, I think with technology, with the exponential growth of technology, we could get away from our morality in different ways. So that basically, almost like herding cattle, the AI helps us kind of keep in check. So there's a checks and balances there. So instead of going the opposite way, we're helped in a certain way. So I think that once we reach general intelligence with those qualitative data sets from finding and augmenting human purpose, I think the second thing that I would see as a miracle is having internet provided to the world. And that, of course, I think that may even reach, it should reach the world before general intelligence, but I think that goes hand in hand. And then once we find internet to the rest of the world, there's so much that can happen. But then telemedicine would basically be the answer to providing healthcare to the world through the internet connection as the third miracle. So.
I love it. Those are 3 really big, amazing miracles that you're going to be helping assist with as you move along your path to creating miracles. But thank you again, Joshua. Such a pleasure and honor to know you. And thank you, everyone, for listening to Untold Miracles today. And to learn more about Joshua Johnson, go to pain2joy.com, pain2joy.com, and look for his book coming out early this spring. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thanks, Kelly.
Good job, Olivia.